Hello, and welcome to the Enchanted Circle Podcast, and welcome to our 36th episode. We are a new podcast of three best friends that have known each other since high school that love fantasy books. So here we are doing what we love most, which is obviously reading, theorizing, and having a great time together. From reading in high school to reading Harry Potter, Twilight, and the Mortal Instruments series to reading Fourth Wing and ACOTAR, we are deep diving into Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Yay. Hi, I'm Carolina. Welcome to episode 36. We are covering chapters 29 to 34 today. We are so excited for you to join us on this fabulous journey as we talk about Quicksilver. And for those of you who are new, we did a breakdown of Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros in our previous episodes, and now we talking about Quicksilver. Welcome, and we hope you enjoy.
I'm Bella. Welcome back. Summer is officially here, and I am officially melting into a puddle. The other day, it was so hot and uncomfortable, but like the best part was a storm that came after. But the not so best part, trees went down and some areas flooded, unfortunately. But honestly, like that's my favorite part of summer. It's the thunderstorms, the lightning. It's my fave. It's the vibe. It's a total vibe.
Hey, it's Esteph. It's an ECP Tuesday. Sorry, Bella. I'm here for the heat. Like, bless us with this heat. We had so much rain. I'm so ready for the hot weather. And this, as a Latina mommy, I thrive in the sun. It just brings me so much joy to see the sun. It automatically ups my mood, my emotions. I feel happy and joyous as long as the sun is shining and I feel that warm heat on my body. July is right around the corner and summer is calling. I just love being here with you guys on your drive or your workout or as you do things around the house. I love talking books and I love my shadow daddies. Although I actually read Shield of Sparrows and he was not a shadow daddy, but like I was into it.
Oh, I'm excited because I'm reading it right now.
I'm into it. Carol, I love you and I love you, Bella, and I love our discussions.
Love you.
Oh, so romantic. I just love our discussions because it's just so much fun and we laugh so much. So without further ado, let's do this.
We just have to mention content warnings. There will be spoilers for the entire book of Quicksilver by Callie Hart, including all of KingFisher's POV chapters. If you have not read this book and his new POVs, please come back once you do. We wouldn't want to spoil anything for you. We may mention interviews or posts from Callie Hart, so spoilers with that. And this podcast is rated R due to the topics we discuss about this adult book. Also, we tend to curse a lot, so please be aware of children listening. Let's get into it. Just to let everyone know, we typically begin with a chapter summary and then we deep dive into Quicksilver or the main discussion in order of the chapters. Chapter summary. Chapter 29, Ballad of the Ajun Gate. We're at the forge again. For once, the Quicksilver was behaving. Weird. Saeris is remaking Danya's sword. In the meantime, Lorth and Carrion are outside bonding, and Carrion calling Lorth a cheat at throwing daggers. Okay, Carrion being the biggest sword loser. Lorth is naturally good at the game, obviously, hitting the tree target about 280 times. Just wanted to add that in there. But Saeris came by to ask Lorth to carve the handle of the sword for her, which of course he did. And then Saeris made an extraordinary weapon. Lorth asked to hold it and cuts his finger. Whoopsies. Then the silenced Quicksilver speaks, asking for a song. Lorth definitely gave it a song of the Battle of the Ajun Gate back in KingFisher's POV. The Quicksilver made a decision to take the song and for the sword to be Lorth's sword. Oh boy. Aviciath is our new sword and it has angel's breath. Chapter 30, Swear It. So everyone is flipping out over the sword. Saeris and Fisher hold hands. Saeris still can't believe she made a god sword. She reaches out to the Quicksilver and they have an interesting conversation. She thinks KingFisher didn't hear a thing, but he sure did. As they're about to have a moment, Renfis bursts into the tent and says he needs Fisher because the Horde are at the banks again. Saeris goes with them, but with Solus in hand. More on that later.
Oh, Carol, you were so good at your summary.
Your summaries are always very good. Chapter 31, The Darn. Through the rain, it was quite obvious the vampires were too close for comfort. As Kingfisher and Saeris make their way to the river's edge, Saeris notes the 50 feet between Erin and Sansaroth. Honestly, that is less than half a football field. Lordy Lord. The smells traveling across the river are enough to make us gag, even through the pages of this book. Rot and blood. Yuck. But the king of vamps is not there, not this time. As the giant fae break the ice further down the river, one brave, brainless vamp makes a step across the ice. Vampire zombies made of the sickest nightmares continue to try to cross the areas of the river where it is not frozen. Fisher, armed with his shadows, is waiting for the minute he can fuck up these monsters. Once across the border, Fisher and Ren are ready and both use their magic immediately. As the vampires on the ice fall into the water and their celebratory yells are cut short, vamp zombies start crawling out of the water straight onto the side of the war camp. Fisher reminds Saeris of her promise to stay as he leaves to fight. Ren, alongside Saeris, get ready to fuck up some vampies. Solus decides that it is a god sword, and Prowl found Saeris worthy, and she hears it say, quote, "Us too, and us," end quote. Solon chosen Saeris as its carrier. Ren starts fighting and tells Saeris to go, but she stays, saying her odds are better with him. She starts fighting, and the key to killing the vampies is to remove their head entirely. She remembers that she was trained to fight and rains hell on these monstrosities. Something odd is happening internally to Saeris, but she doesn't have time to figure it out as Fisher's shadows sweep her into his arms. Soon after he gets there, he ends the fight by killing them all. Suddenly, a bright white light ends every single remaining vampire on the ice by fire. Lorith and the guard sword, goddamn. As the camp goes up in cheers and victory, a familiar voice rings. A beautiful blonde, our beautiful blonde, Everlane, surrounded by vampires. Chapter 32, Taladeus. Holy fucking shitballs. What in the hells is our beautiful, perfect Barbie doll, Everlane, doing on that side of the river? What is she doing? Kingfisher is freaking the fuck out, rightfully so. That's his baby sis. But Ren is the one to pull him back from the brink of going to get her. A vampy licks her. Ew. Another smells her arm. Ew. Something is holding them back from actually hurting her. Ren almost goes against his own advice to Fisher, but Lane stops him. He tries to tell her to escape, but she can't. Kingfisher notices a fucking collar and leash on her as someone pulls her. Someone, not Malcolm, but Taladeus. He tells Fisher that that is his father's revenge for losing Fisher. We don't quite hear that it was Malcolm who bit her, but it is assumed it was him since Saeris can't hear as well with her human ears. And what does that mean? Well, that she is now enthralled to him and she cannot leave. A broken Kingfisher asks why Malcolm would do this to her, and it's all to trap Fisher to going back to him, to make another deal where he exchanges himself for her. The threat is clear, and there's only hours left until Everlane makes a full transition. Except in the last moment, it isn't only Fisher Malcolm wants now. He wants Saeris too. Fisher screams, quote, "He can't have her," end quote. But this is so much darker and deeper than what any of them can deal with. Malcolm wants what he wants.
Chapter 33, Blood in Thanks. They return back to the map tent in despair. Lorith is trying to lift their spirits, Ren looks like he has given up, and Fisher is just paralyzed, in shock. Saeris tries to understand what is happening to Everlane and asks Ren, why can Malcolm's bite turn someone into a vampire and the other vampires can't do that? Ren explains that it's because Malcolm was the very first to become a vampire, and when a cure was found, he was one of the few who didn't take it. He explains that when a victim is enthralled, it means that they are bound to the vampire who bit them a few times, doing anything they want of them without protest. But Malcolm only needs to bite them once for them to be enthralled. Everlane is completely under Malcolm's control, sadly, and has 56 hours to live unless Malcolm allows her to drink from him, which would turn her into a vampire. But if she refuses, she dies and becomes a feeder. Fisher comes back to Earth, and Danya bursts in the tent, that biatch, marching straight to Lorith, who she punches Before demanding him to give her sword back, she is told it's not her sword, but the biatch won't listen and grabs for it. And, well, it blows up her hand and throws her across the room. Well deserved. Fisher takes command and tells them that they're going back to college to search his father's library for any answers on breaking the enthrallment, but to also take Danya to Talena to have her hand regrown, even though she didn't deserve it. But before doing so, they make Saeris one of their own. She was knighted, y'all. Chapter 34, A Secret. After their ceremony, Fisher creates a shadow gate so they can get back to college. Saeris goes through it first and sits where she always does, at the family table to the right of Fisher's chair, waiting for the others. And Danya the bitch basically tells her that she better move or she'll be very embarrassed. Saeris has no idea why it's a big deal and tries to brush it off, but Danya explains with distaste that it's reserved for the lady of the house, who would also be Fisher's wife, and it's surprising that he even lets Saeris, a human, sit at the same table as him. She's all smug when Ren and Fisher come to the Shadow Gate waiting for their disapproval, but none came. And instead, Ren's fury came out to defend Saeris from Danya's harsh remarks about being undeserving of Fisher because she's just a human. He almost reveals what Saeris and Fisher are to each other. You know? And Lorith and Carrion come through last, with Carrion carrying the only plant he found on the barren land, randomly. Saeris is back on the forge, accompanied by Carrion to make more relics, and she tries to convince a piece of silver to comply, but it refuses to, and she refuses to command it. As she's talking to Carrion about Fisher having secrets, the Quicksilver finally agreed to be made anew if she told it a secret. She revealed that she doesn't want to go back to Zilvarin and instead wants to bring her family here to Yvelia. It accepts and agrees that she should stay to save Fisher, the gates, and Yvelia. We will dive into this later. It is made into a ring, and Saeris slips it on, and suddenly the forge goes dark, and a million different voices chant, Anarath more. Saeris removes the ring, and Talena shows up asking her if she needs anything to be healed. Carrion tries to flirt with her, but she shows him the back of her hands and says that she is still happily married and mated. Saeris asks about the runes on her fingers, and Talena explains what they are. We will get into that later as well. But basically, Saeris finds out that tattoos appearing from one person's skin to another is not common amongst the Fae, even those who are mated.
Ooh. Ooh.
Big chapter.
Let's get on to the main discussion, shall we? So, chapter 29. Okay, Saeris is in the forge remaking Danya's sword. She notes that the Quicksilver is behaving for once, right? I have to quote this. Quote, for once it was silent and cooperative, but its attention was a hand resting on my shoulder. It was curious. It wanted to see what kind of weapon I would create with it. End quote. Isn't that interesting? Especially since the Quicksilver is usually up to something. Is it looking to see if Saeris is the one capable of creating such an extraordinary weapon for their benefit? Like, are they like, ooh, she's the one, like, kind of thing? I feel like they're always up to something, and I'm like, wow, they're actually listening to her. Like,
yeah,
strange, you know. But
and it's interesting to like see that they kind of have almost different personalities in a way,
right?
Like,
and in the audiobook, it is different voices.
And I also feel like they want different things, and that's why I'm saying like it can't be one entity. I think it has to be like a lot of different. But what are they, right?
Yes.
Like, where are they really coming from?
How symbolic is it that we all know the sword chose Lorith, and he's the one that made the handle for the sword for Saeris? Like, I just love that. And he makes a wolf's head for Lupo Proelia. Lorith, I just want to say, shout out to you. You're amazing.
And I was going to say, I'm like, this poor guy, like, he was just like some random guy who like didn't have a family. Like, Fisher gave him like part of his soul, and I'm sure he's felt so unworthy of being part of this like crew for so long of the Lupo Paralia, and like now a god sword has chosen him as being worthy. It's beautiful because I'm sure like he's never felt that way, even though I'm sure nobody's ever made him feel that way. Maybe Danya, because she's a bitch, but
Danya's just different.
I don't know what's up with this chick. It's sweet to know that he was chosen by something as revered as a guard sword, and like it found him worthy for who he is, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. That's actually beautifully well said. And for the record, a couple days ago, Callie had a live on Instagram, and there was a discussion about side characters having their own book, and she is very open to it. So I hope maybe Lorth has his own book. Who knows? But just thought that was a nice little mention there. But anyway, so when Saeris remade the sword, the words she engraved on it were, quote, "By righteous hands, deliverance of the unrighteous dead," end quote. This sword will definitely be meaningful. Do you think Saeris, like, what? I don't know what proper word it is, but whatever she writes on a page, that's what happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she wrote these words on this sword, and it's like she like sealed the fate of this sword, kind of thing.
Like there's magic in her, I guess, in what she writes. And
yeah. Did anyone watch Once Upon a Time?
I have, yeah.
Remember when Henry or like the author of the book would write something and that's what would happen?
Yeah.
So that's what made me think of that. But anyway.
Yeah.
Shout out to Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Peeps. It's a very old show. But anyway, it's on Disney Plus, by the way. All right. Lorth asking to hold it and cutting his hand on the sword. Do you think the Quicksilver did that cut themselves, or do you think Lorth actually cut himself by mistake?
I think the Quicksilver did it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. No, I thought the same thing. I just want to mention it. Like, could the Quicksilver have a plan all along when it says, quote, "It's time, give us our song," end quote? It's as if it knew exactly what it was doing all along, or it had a plan with someone all along. Like, I know it made a deal with Saeris, but could it be with someone else? Like, there has to be a bigger picture here.
I agree. I think the Quicksilver serves itself, you know? Regardless if it's like on good or evil, I think, which is why I'm like, I still think it's maybe something with the gods, because gods are never good or evil, right? They're just into what serves them the most, right? Whether it's the right choice or the wrong choice, whether it's for humanity or whatever, but like usually gods only serve themselves. And I feel like the Quicksilver has that same kind of...
It has some sort of motive, right? Intention or something.
Yeah.
I thought, I agree. And I was thinking like, maybe you just want to get away from Danya.
True.
It's like, we don't want to go back to...
I see. Exactly. I would be the same. I'd be like, I don't want to hang out with her. She's mean.
Yeah, hundreds of years with her. Lord.
Yeah, no, my gosh.
And also, I wanted to add here that there's a part when they were outside, a blessing showed up, and it was the aurora, which hasn't been seen in over 1,000 years. And I thought that was very interesting because that's very random. It showed up at that specific time. I wonder why.
It's like something's in the cards that they want, and we obviously don't know yet.
Yeah, something is connected with them.
Oh, in Lorth's song, there's a line that says, quote, "And saved those he could of the Fisher King and the wolves at his back," end quote. Interesting way to say KingFisher's name, right? He definitely has another name. I'm convinced at this point. Because what does it mean by the Fisher King? Like, he couldn't just say KingFisher. Like, why did he have to like reverse that? It's like, there's something with his name that definitely will be a big reveal. Just thought that was interesting. And I also have to mention, of course, the comedic relief when Lorth finishes singing and Carry-On just says, quote, "It's fucking outrageous. He can sing too," end quote. And yes, Carry-On, yes, he could sing. He was just honestly, a sore loser.
I swear, I think Carry-On has like a hard on for Lorth. Like,
yeah, he does.
Like, I think he's like really in love with him.
Yeah, I was waiting for one of you guys to mention it.
Yeah. Like I think
there was some flirting going on.
Secretly,
he's so cute. Anyway, the Quicksilver claims Lorth and calls him, quote, "Lorth of the broken spires," end quote, which according to ChatGPT, it means change or catastrophic, right? But when the Quicksilver keeps the song, this part intrigued me. Like, why? What will it do with it? Like, does it take away the memories of that day as well? I don't know. The Quicksilver also says, quote, "We remember so the alchemist remembers," end quote. So Saeris and the Quicksilver seem to have this deeply rooted connection, obviously. But Aviciath is the name that Lorth gives the sword. But guys, according to Google, Avis means bird. We all know what I feel about birds since last episode. And hold on, what is happening here? Lorth knows something we don't know either. And I'm just ending it with that because... something's up with the birds, okay?
Something with the birds.
Not the birds.
The birds.
The birds.
Chapter 30, Swear It. So something struck me in the beginning of this chapter. Carrion is noted to stay back and decided he was going to sleep at the forge. Could he be up to something?
Yeah.
What is he up to?
He's a fae pretending to be human who's actually the fucking king of the fucking realm.
Mm-hmm.
And he's all of a sudden going to go sleep at the forge and act nonchalant. What's up with the plan?
What are you doing?
What is this plant? Like, why is this one plant in the fucking snow? What do you know?
Listen, let me tell you. I think he's in the forge because he can sort of hear the Quicksilver, I think. Or he can at least sense it or something. And he's like probably curious and he's just waiting for everyone to leave so he can try to like
do his own experiments.
Yeah,
that's a good point, Bella.
Maybe. That's what I would do.
If you were him.
Yeah, I'd be like, wait, let me just wait for everyone to go to sleep so I can try.
He's like, I'm just going to sleep here.
Yeah.
So Saeris reached out to the Quicksilver and we learn a few things, right? So number one, the Quicksilver says they know who she is. Quote, she is the dawn, she is the moon, she is the sky, she is the oxygen in our lungs, end quote. And sorry, I have to say their voice just like similar to the audiobook because that's all I hear in my head. Okay, but could this be that Saeris or her family line is the creator of Quicksilver? Maybe they created it and that's why they feel so drawn to her and behave with her.
That could be.
And she is the oxygen in their lungs. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good. I don't think
she's a god.
No, not her, but her family.
Oh.
Like not Saeris creating the Quicksilver, like down her family line somewhere. Like somebody created it.
The Quicksilver is of another realm. So like it was brought to Yvelia. Maybe there's a fucking realm with all alchemists there.
Oh.
And we also find out that in the end of the book, Zareth says there's many more like you in Zilvarin. So there's more alchemists in Zilvarin.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting that there's many alchemists in Zilvarin, as if like maybe they escaped there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not
I love how we're like
it's not of the Yvelian realm. So I just feel like because the Quicksilver is a means of travel, Quicksilver has to be of a different realm, like a different world.
What if it came from Zilvarin? Because it's called the Silver City. And like,
yeah, I think we've discussed this,
right? Yeah.
It could be. We just don't know.
We don't know.
I do think that Saeris comes from an old ancient fae line. Maybe it's with the gods.
She definitely comes from a fae line.
Yeah,
we know.
Definitely. And I think it's something like a powerful.
Yeah. At this point, I believe anything could happen, baby. We still on book 1.
Mm-hmm.
So many possibilities. Number 2. When Saeris asks Quicksilver to leave KingFisher's body, they say, quote, we cannot leave him. We are him, end quote. I don't even know what to think, honestly. Obviously, we know how he got the Quicksilver in his body and stuff like that. But could he be so far gone or taken over by the Quicksilver that it's just mainly just Quicksilver controlling him now and he's just scrapping onto the little, like, conscious of himself that he has left? I don't know, but they say something interesting. I think they can't live without him, right? Because they say, quote, we cannot leave him, we will die, end quote. So it's like a, what's that word where the both things have to be alive?
Symbiotic.
Yeah, they have like a symbiotic relationship with each other, which we know that they made a deal years back. But I was just like, they're that embedded, you know?
Yeah, that's weird.
So. I think at this point, like it's part of him. So like one cannot live without the other. I definitely think that the Quicksilver tries to control KingFisher sometimes. I think it's sentient, like it has its own wants and needs. And it's if you're two different, I don't want to say people, but like spirits, entities living in the same body, there is going to be times where one takes over more than the other.
Right.
And I think that's part of Fisher's exhaustion and Fisher's probably tension in his body is he's constantly fighting with the Quicksilver.
Yeah.
She actually did say a couple days ago on her live on Instagram, someone asked her what was the inspiration of the Quicksilver or something along those lines. Don't quote me. But she said that Mercury, back then, people were using Mercury all the time and people went crazy.
Yeah.
So that was like a little tidbit of what like gave her somewhat of an idea about the Quicksilver.
That's cool. Yeah.
3. Saeris clarifies that they are not supposed to bind with living creatures, and it responds to her by saying, quote, "We bind with all kinds of weapons," end quote. Okay, so they weaponized KingFisher then.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. And 4, basically KingFisher was bound to them since he was a boy, and that's that. KingFisher and the Quicksilver are one, like a forged sword on its own.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. As Ren bursts into the tent, I just have to note this, okay? Quote, Renfist burst into the tent dressed in full armor. His expression was wild. His face smeared with dirt, end quote. Okay, back to your shape-shifting theory, Bella. Maybe you're onto something. Obviously, there's a situation going on right now, but it's very in line that maybe he could be something more, especially with what we discussed last episode of maybe he's a werewolf, maybe he's a shapeshifter. I don't know. I'm just noticing his behaviors and like there's little words here and there that I'm like, why describe him that way?
Yeah.
Faye could possibly shapeshift. They have in other books. So I love how even though KingFisher suggested that Saeris stay back in the tent and our girl said she's going with them, and KingFisher's response is the best. He's like, okay, bet, then come, right? So no questions asked, which she has to say by his side. Fair. Also just want to note that he went to grab the sword to give to Saeris, but not just any sword. The sword that started this story. The sword from Madra's palace. Soulless. To me, it seems that this was made for Saeris, right? Because I have to quote this, quote, "Its pommel was embellished with a crescent moon, the horns of the crescent so close that they almost touched to form a whole circle. Script writing flowed around the hilt, down over the crossguard, and spilled along the edge of the blade, written in Old Fae," end quote. She is described again and again to be the moon, and it's beautiful that this is what's on the pommel of this sword. And also, I wish we knew what it said in Old Fae. And again, KingFisher mentions his dad's, quote, bones, end quote, must be in Zilvarin. His daddy is definitely Elroy. I'm convinced.
I'm convinced. I am convinced as well. Like that's
KingFisher's daddy is Elroy.
Like, that's Cap. Okay. Chapter 31, The Darn. There's a lot going on with this chapter, with the battle, but what I love to see the most is Saeris coming into the badass who killed Madra's guards like it was nothing. I feel like it's been such a long time since we've seen that part of her, so I was so happy that she kind of comes back to this like core person that she was. This is a girl who literally was fucking people up so that she can get some damn water. So put some respect on her name. When it comes to the Vampies, that's their new nickname because vampire zombies. But yeah, what gets me the most is that they're mostly zombies, but have enough cognition to be able to follow directions. Because how do they have a brain, but it's a rotting brain? Make it make sense. Even Saeris asks, quote, "And they know that?" End quote. To which Ren replies, quote, "Not in any intelligent way," end quote. But like what? But in what way, Ren? In what way? They know enough to make it to this narrow part of the river, and they know enough to try to cross the river. Quote, "Vampires can't cross over running water. They sense the current here and are afraid. But inevitably, one of them dares to step out on the ice. Then the others follow," end quote. This is confusing to me because it seems like they have some, again, cognition, but don't blindly roam like normal zombies.
Yeah.
They kind of have a leader whom they follow.
Could they possibly have Quicksilver and is being manipulated by it also?
I was going to say something like that earlier but I also thought like it was a crazy ass Mad Woman theory that I was like, it's so crazy.
It could be our Mad Woman theory.
Well, Mad Woman theory, what if the voices are the vampies?
Steph.
Mad Woman theory.
We need another moment of silence.
Wait a second. Hold on. Wait a second.
That is amazing.
Somebody
write that down.
Wait a second. So you're saying the vampires their like their soul or whatever gets trapped into the Quicksilver.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And that's them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wait,
I don't know. It's man woman theory. It makes no sense.
I know.
It's
but
a good
really
good
though.
theory.
It's really good theory.
Me
It's
gusta.
really good. Yeah.
I
I'm here for the
subscribe.
man woman theories.
I subscribe to that theory.
Wow.
you.
Steph, that's good.
Oh, thanks.
I like
But
I'm so excited. Like
I take 1% of that theory because I said what I said.
You did. I was like, I didn't want to say it because I was like, that's kind of crazy. But then you said something, and I was like, it's my moment to shine. My moment to shine.
yeah, that's interesting.
When are they getting over this river, or where are they going to feed? Right? Because the way I picture Sansaroth and like Erin is like there's a river kind of that acts like a border, but like when Saeris and Fisher were at the house, Vampy's attacked. But then also we note here, Saeris notes, she says, quote, "A woman came next. Her face was a ruin, her eyes missing, cheeks clawed to shreds. The wounds looked fresh, still pink in places. A day or two ago, she'd been alive. She was wearing an apron, which was stained brown with old blood down the front. It looked like the aprons the cooks wore back at the Winter Palace. Had she worked at some fine estate somewhere? Had she stepped out for a moment to escape the heat of the kitchen, to catch a glimpse of a star or two in the night? Had some awful nightmare leaped out of the shadows and torn her face to shreds as it fed?" End quote. So if Erin is where they're making the crossing and it's a war camp, how are they getting the fucking Fae? And obviously later on we see what happens to Everlane. So obviously it is a cook from the fucking Winter Palace, because
How about they get everything?
Bellicon is a fucking snake, and
That
he's been
little
playing everybody.
fucking loser. He was giving up his people.
Something that also intrigued me is when Saeris talks about Malcolm's power. Quote, "The sight of Malcolm standing on the other side of the river had struck a chord of fear in me that was still rattling my bones even now. He'd been no taller than your average female. In truth, he'd been leaner than most of the warriors here at camp. But the sense of power he'd given off had been staggering. I'd felt it pushing and pulling at me, looking for my weak spots, as if it had wanted to force me to my knees in supplication." End quote. And later on, I talk about this really quick in the next chapter toward the end. So I want you guys to keep this line, this last sentence where she says, "I'd felt it pushing and pulling at me, looking for my weak spots." Not only does she describe Bellicon this way, she also describes Taladeus this way, but she describes the Quicksilver this way too. Saying like it tries to like warm. So again,
I'm gonna say our theory.
our theories.
1% of the theory.
No.
That theory you just mentioned would make so much sense with that.
I don't know. Maybe that's why he wants the alchemist. Could he have some mind powers? And in the zombie vampires, the vampies, it's easy for him to control them, but can it work on the Fae?
Yes. And that would make sense to me. And maybe he controlled Kingfisher somehow that whole time he was there. And I'm sure we'll find out more in Brimstone.
Absolutely. The way he tries to get into Sarah's mind and the way she felt it across the river, it's interesting what kind of power the vampires hold. We even see it, like I said, in Taladeus. So
I had a different perspective with this because I thought of it as, can all humans feel that? Because Saeris is supposed to be a human technically, but if she's able to feel the powers of others, either either it's something that does happen even with humans, or she's a super powerful, like her lineage allows her to sense power in other creatures.
Really interesting. I actually really like that, Bells.
Yeah. I think that even though the gods changed that, because again, she was supposed to be Fae, and even though the gods changed it, like I think this is just a sign that you can't change something that was supposed to be, basically.
Yeah, because like there's all those little things, right? Like with the ear tips, the name, like all this stuff. And this is like another one of those things that are like, is this like a Fae trait that she possesses?
So Kingfisher has shadow power, right? Ren shows us power as a ball of blue-white light, just power, right? And then Lorith has fireball light power that's splits, right? And then seeks its enemies and kills them all at the same time. So I don't think KingFisher's shadow power comes from the God Sword, but Ren's blue ball of white light power and Lorith's fireball power, they do come from the God Sword. Or what do you guys think?
In one of the episodes, in his POV, we find out that he gets certain powers from each parent. I said that in...
You did say that, but I just find it interesting. Like, does Ren and Lorith have regular powers?
That's a good point. And I don't know.
Yeah.
To me,
do the
Lorith
Fae have powers?
I think the Fae have powers because then, like, that wouldn't make sense for just KingFisher to have powers. Like, yes, it would make sense that he has 2 powers because he's just from a powerful line or whatever. But like, it wouldn't make sense to me that he has powers and no one else. So what? That makes him a god, basically. So it's like, you know,
yeah.
so like,
I just feel like we don't see Lorith or Ren's powers or anybody else's powers.
That's
really.
a good point. Yeah.
Again, this is Saeris' POV. We also have to remember there is going to be multiple POVs in Brimstone, by the way. Found that out as well.
Can't wait.
KingFisher and Saeris, it's about 60-40% each. I think she doesn't know, right? Or things that we think are powers, like maybe they have, I don't know, they could run super fast or whatever the case is. Like, we just don't know that yet or noticed it because she's been in this freaking forge this whole book.
Yeah.
You know, she hasn't been in the trenches with them, only in the last few chapters.
That 100% makes sense.
Yeah. Because Fisher said that.
I always try to remember that because Rebecca always says that in fourth wing. She's like, we only know this POV. I'm like, yes, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's a good point.
I'm like, we only know Saeris' POV.
Yeah. And Fisher says that Fae are magic, right? Does he say that? Or am I bugging?
Someone says that.
He does say
that, right? So, okay. So that.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I'm like, do the powers come from them being Fae or from the God Sword, like Lorith?
Could be both.
Could be
both.
But then the God Swords are supposed to be dead. So
yeah, well, except Nemerel, and then I think Saeris just awoke in this one.
Yeah,
I mean,
very interesting.
That is true.
In the past, breaking the ice was enough to stop the vampies, but this time they swam. Why and how?
No, you got me thinking though. Back to that mad woman theory we just had. Could it be that they sense Saeris and they like want her? It's that bad that they're like, she's here. Oh my God, let's get to her any way we can. Like,
that's true.
That's true. I like that.
Like maybe they're like desperate now to get to her. Yeah, that pull. That pull.
I like that.
That's right.
Furthermore, in the last battle, I asked this: where does Fisher go, y'all? Because when they notice the vampies, he tells her to stay and keep her promise, but her and Ren fight together. So why doesn't he stay and fight with her at the same time? Like, where does he go? Like, why? I don't know. Do you guys like feel like where are you going?
He's probably doing that thing where he's like, let me sacrifice myself, like, because he always does that.
True. You know? He is very.
He's like, I don't want her to get hurt.
I want to quote this part. What the God Sword says to Saeris. Says, quote, "And us," an excited voice whispered, "us too, and us, Solus. The blade with the crescent moon pommel was a God Sword after all. Of course it held Quicksilver, and it was awake, alive, listening, talking to me." End quote. What the helly? What the hell? What the Halle Berry? What the
Just quote the whole song. Go start singing.
What the hell, LeBron? What the hell, LeBron?
What the hell? Wait. Guys. Could, like you said, back to your Mad Woman theory times 3. Could they want Saeris to make this God Sword, right? The Quicksilver obviously wanted her to make it, and this is how it's supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. Could it be that the God Sword and killing them off with the God Sword is the only way that their souls are set free?
Ooh.
And that's why they want her to make this God Sword and basically like kill the Horde, because it sets all their souls free and into the universe where they're supposed to be resting?
Ooh.
I need more of a
thing. Yeah, that's interesting.
Brimstone. We need that in
Brimstone. Brimstone.
I feel like we're just like, we're trying to grab at straws. Like, we're just like, we need info.
I know. We need everything.
Yeah, but it's very possible. I like that. I like that theory.
But was it always awake, or is it because of Saeris, right? Mostly because she's an alchemist. When she starts fighting, there's this one part where she says, quote, listen to this, quote, "Time slowed down and the strangest thing happened. My heart rate dipped. A sense of peace washed over me. Acceptance and understanding." End quote. Is this part of the guard sword's power, or is this Saeris' Fae side coming out?
Fae.
Remember, the Fae senses are stronger, better, more in tune than humans, and her describing it like this seems like she is connected with that side during the battle. Even Ren is like, what the fuck? What the fuck? He is shooketh. But it kind of makes me mad that it's all forgotten quickly because KingFisher sweeps his baby girl in his arms and he's like, "Oh, my baby, are you okay? I'm so stressed."
He was so stressed.
Baby, you okay? And
it's like, baby,
Ren is
come
like,
back.
yeah, like Ren is like,
Ren was about to hype her
you
up.
don't even know. She just looked some shit up.
I think
surprised.
I think it's her Fae.
Yeah, I think it's
You think it's her Fae? I think
Well,
it's a
I
little
think
bit
it's
of the
both.
guard sword power that like slowed down time. Like, you know how every guard sword has some kind of power?
Oh yeah,
It
true.
could be
Activated
that.
it.
And maybe it
Or-
also activated her Fae.
Right. Or it was slowing down because her senses were like, she was faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't
Maybe.
You guys ever watch like the show Flash? No.
know.
So like,
But I know what you mean.
yeah, like he's running so fast that things slow down around him.
Like you guys said right now, it's definitely some kind of guard. It's kind of a combination of the guard sword power and her Fae's power. Because, quote, she says, "Solace hummed in my hands, sending waves of energy up into my shoulders with every hit I landed." So I think it's kind of a combo of both.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that Ren feels the love KingFisher has for Saeris, because when he is left with her and it gets too crazy and he tries to get her to leave, he says, quote, "Don't you dare die on my watch, Saeris Fane. Fisher will never forgive me if his sole reason for living is torn to pieces on her first fucking battlefield." And quote, stop it.
I love him.
With the sole reason for living.
Ren is always calling out his boy Fisher.
He is Cupid.
I'm just gonna cry. Like, I'm so in love with them. I'm in love with all of them. It's obvious, even to the pack, he doesn't want to live this way anymore. And the only reason he's holding out right now is for his mate. It's
definitely sad.
So sad.
But I'm glad he has her.
Amen to that. When KingFisher meets with his mate, he looks panicked. But like, why? Boy, don't you know who she is? Ren backs her up by saying she is a baddie with a sword, comparing her to his father. But what just made me think is that I think it's Sola's power that made her an even better fighter, and maybe that's why his father was too. I love how Saeris describes this part, quote, "It was Lorith and Angel's breath Aviciant had granted, and the sight of it set my soul on fucking fire." End quote. Saeris is like, hell fucking yeah, I made that shit. It's like when I look at my kids. Yeah, I feel like that when I look at my kids and I'm like, I made that.
I know.
I made that.
I look at my son and I'm like,
I made that. I did it.
Like me.
Those fingers. It's me. I win. You
my
lose.
buddy did that.
Yeah, me. I did that. Baddie. But
and Steph, you made 2 of them, so double for
20
you.
fingers, 2 brains, 2 hearts, 20 toes, 4 legs, 4 arms at the same damn time.
You go, girl.
Amen. Celebrating, though, gets cut short because fucking Everlane is on the other side of the Darn, surrounded by vampies. I feel so freaking bad for her because fucking KingFisher and Saeris left her without even a goodbye. I know they had to do what they had to do, but they just dipped. And then Ren leaves her too and then she's left with the aftermath of Bellicons's fucking wrath.
Yeah, why couldn't she go along?
Yeah, why didn't she go with them?
I don't know. And then he fucking uses her to get revenge on KingFisher. But what gets me the most, they really haven't thought about her since they left. Nobody's like, Everlane, I wonder if she's okay.
Well, maybe Ren did, but we don't know that.
I mean, I guess like they thought she was like, she's in a castle protected by guards and stuff. Maybe she went to go find them, and that's when she got captured.
Nah, Bellicon definitely.
Oh, right. I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Daughter.
It just makes me sad and it makes me mad because I feel like they're kind of like a little bit complicit in this. They just dipped and left her.
Yeah.
Like,
it's fucked up.
KingFisher knew Bellicon was going to be toy. He took the alchemist. Ren told KingFisher, ooh, you're in big trouble. My dad, that guy is fucking toy. And then he leaves his baby sister with this psychopath. The same psychopath that probably killed his mother, but I digress. Chapter 32, Taladeus, which I really love because it's a new character that we get to meet. And he's like a little bit more than what he seems. It's kind of like a book. The cover, you never know. Some covers are great. Some covers are not great. Some covers are intriguing. Some covers are scary. But sometimes the story inside, it's more than what it seems. So KingFisher, Ren, and a confused as fuck Saeris, because she's like, what is happening, face off with Taladeus, who's holding sweet baby girl Everlane with a choker leash. Why am I kind of like into this?
I was gonna say,
why does this
like is that a bad thing?
Like, is this kind of like that's kind of hot?
Why is that?
Is that supposed to be torture?
Not you twirling your hair to that.
Where does one purchase this? Yes, bring your vampire ass over here. Sorry, there's only room for one vampire in my life, and his name is Edward Cullen.
Oh wow!
Shots fired.
Yep.
JK and Damon Salvatore, but okay. During the scene, we notice Fisher go ballistic. He's ready to jump through a shadow gate to get his sister. But Ren is the one who talks sense into him. And then Ren does a 180 because he ends up being the one that loses his cool when a vampy licks Lane. Quote, Ren cried out. The sound strangled, and it looked like he would ignore his own words and charge blindly into the river. It was Lane's outstretched palm that stopped him. End quote. Ding, ding, ding. There's something going on with these two because Ren definitely loves her. They're lovers. Will have some love tension because he is locked in with her. He is locked in. And he is upset.
And he loves her.
Upset. Okay? Mm-hmm. I was also confused with whatever magic this is. Quote, she looks so strange. Her pale skin was lit from within, giving an ethereal glow. Her hair swirled around her as if she were underwater, and yet she wasn't wet. Her hair, her skin, her clothes, all dry. The rain came down harder than ever, but not a drop of it touched Everlane. End quote. What kind of magic do these vampire fae possess for this to be possible? Thoughts?
Interesting. I didn't even notice that.
I actually forgot about this. And that's an interesting point. Maybe.
And then remember, we know how the temperature across the river is completely different than the temperature that is in Erin. So like there's snow, it's cold, it's raining, but then in Sansaroth, it's like there's no snow over there, almost like it's hot as fuck over there. So what is this magic that is like that side, that border of magic, that wall of magic? What does it possess? But then it's weird because like Everlane's hair kind of like flowing in the air.
Wait, I have an answer, I think.
Go ahead.
Because on page 458, Saeris was describing what KingFisher looked when he was like in battle mode. And it says, quote, his skin cast off an eerie pale glow, his dark waves blowing on an invisible wind. He had never seemed very human to me, but now balancing on the precipice of danger, he was unspeakably fey, end quote. I wonder if like I don't know. Like if it's like maybe it like triggers her super fate part of
Like
herself.
maybe she's using some type of power that we
Yeah,
can't see.
maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's something, or because when I read that part, it reminded me of that scene, and I was like,
no, that's a good point.
maybe if she got bitten, it triggered that. Like, because it's supposed to be like okay, so Fisher looked like that when he was in battle mode, right? Is maybe in battle mode because she's bitten, she's in a very vulnerable place, and maybe she's just like,
maybe that's a very good point. And
That's a good point.
I also remember that, don't quote me because I don't remember exactly, but we did learn somehow that there is some type of ward protection over the palace, but I don't know if that would tie into this. I don't know.
Yeah, me either.
I know it's strange. It's just really strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. But I feel so bad for Everlane. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like everyone let her down. They almost abandoned her to this fate. KingFisher and Saeris left without a single goodbye, and shortly after, Ren left. So who does she have? She comes off as very innocent and very much of a rule follower in the beginning of the book, but she was left behind without a word or protection. Even Saeris knows how she let her down when Lane was the only one to treat her with kindness. She is the first one to treat her with kindness. Quote, "Sweet Everlane, she'd been so nice to me back at the Winter Palace. I'd been too overwhelmed by my new surroundings to truly appreciate it. But she'd been a friend to me, had looked out for me, and now she was in mortal peril, and there was nothing I could do to help her. Nothing any of us could do." End quote. So all of Balakon's anger was directed to her, and I can only imagine what she dealt with. I need a novella with her POV.
I agree with you on that.
So also, how I said earlier in this chapter, when we learned this chapter is called Taladeus, he's very interesting to me in this chapter because the first hint that Taladeus isn't quite what he seems, he tells Fisher, quote, "I don't have the stomach for hurting things that you care about." And "you" is in italics. So it's a little hint to their weird friendship that they kind of have, if you can call it that. But at least we know that he doesn't plan. He's not the one that plans on hurting Everlane. But why turn her? I'm sure she could have been kept as a prisoner without turning her into a vampire. What is the plan?
I just want to say maybe when KingFisher was, if we follow that theory that Malcolm does mind control, maybe Taladeus was that person for Fisher that like kept him sane. Like maybe he was that like friend in the dark. You know what I mean? Like that's the vibe he gives off.
I like that.
And
like
they
that
trauma bonded.
Ooh, yes. I love a good trauma bond. I have a lot of those.
Hence today. We trauma bonded today.
What do you guys think Everlane says to Fisher that Saeris can't hear? Quote, "She spoke 4 or 5 words, and the tiny flicker of hope went out in Fisher's eyes. Ren saw his reaction and dropped down on the snowbank, landing heavily on his knees, his legs refusing to support him anymore." End quote. Ren here showing his freaking love for Lane. But even though they both can't keep their eyes from each other, guys, they're just looking at each other. They're locked in with each other. Ren tells Saeris that she has been enthralled by Malcolm. "Malcolm, you sick fuck. And your obsession with KingFisher, I still don't understand it. Like, why? What do you want from him? What is it? I know you're kind of hot for him, but like, what else do you want for him? It's weirding me out."
Like Malcolm, I get it. Like we love him too. And like, you know, but like, you need to chill.
Remember like what Taladeus said, whatever Malcolm wants, Malcolm gets.
Malcolm sounds
abusive for sure.
For sure. We also learned that he bit Lane 12 hours ago. KingFisher doesn't meet with him. She'll make it through the change. Vampy or vampire like Taladeus. Malcolm is the only one that can actually make someone a vampire or a vampy. A vampire zombie. So hate. When Taladeus turns his attention to Saeris, she notes, quote, "And I felt something else too." Taladeus. His attention shifted to me, though his dark eyes, brimming with merriment, remained locked on Fisher, end quote. Remember when I was telling you guys earlier that she felt the same thing with Malcolm, like he was trying to get into her mind? This reminds me of the same feeling, which reminds me of the Quicksilver also.
Watch him have the same powers as Malcolm.
Oh, my Lanta. In the end, all we can ask is why he wants Saeris, why he wants an alchemist, what he is planning, and where is he planning on going, and why. Who, what, where, when, and why, how, and how. You know? Malcolm.
Domination.
Weird.
He wants domination.
World domination. Do people really want to world dominate? That seems so lame. Like, who has time for that?
So boring.
I'm so tired dominating my household. I'm going to dominate many realms.
Yeah,
many
just like
worlds.
live your life. Go be a villain. Live your life.
I want to sleep. Like, y'all don't want to sleep and rest. You know?
Chapter 33, Blood and Thanks. So Lord suggests searching Fisher's library at college since his dad studied the blood curse for decades. And it made me wonder how deeply involved his father must have been when they were trying to find a cure for the curse. I feel like his dad was more involved than we thought.
Oh, could be.
His dad is definitely super important. Mm-hmm. Like his dad has to be like super important.
Elroy. Yeah. Let me stop.
Okay. Ellie.
And as Ren explains to Saeris what makes Malcolm different from the other vampires, he also tells her that after the cure was found, some took it and some, like Malcolm, did not. And the ones who didn't were, quote, systemically killed off, end quote, until Malcolm was the only one alive. He then says, quote, there were whispers that Malcolm ingested their power somehow. He is millennia old, undying, never aging. Sounds like someone we know. Every year he survives, he grows in strength and capability. His venom is potent beyond imagination. When one of his lords bites a victim, they can drink and sate their thirst without killing. If they bite the same human number of times, eventually they become enthralled. End quote. I found this so interesting. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
He just sounds like, I mean, again, he's one of those people that never wanted to get the cure, so
yeah, well, systemically killed off means like he killed the other ones. You know what I mean? Like that's what I took it as. I took it as like he was going out killing all the other
and ingesting.
And that's why, that's why he says like, you know,
he wants to be number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if he took their power, if there's a way to take their power too, you know, like I feel like he was going around killing the rest of the vampires or the Fae that were cursed.
Oh,
so that he could become number one.
To go back to your God Sword versus Fae thing, maybe they absorbed the power of the God Sword and it became their power, essentially. Who knows?
Maybe.
That just came into my head. But anyway, moving on.
That's good. This means that the victim becomes bound to the vampire who bit them. And they become subservient to their master until they get bored and then they get drained. When the victim dies, 3 days later, they become these feeders. So Fisher decides to make Saeris feign into one of them. During their ceremony, Lorith and Ren take turns to cut their hands with their sword and place it on Saeris's chest. But when it's Fisher's turn, he places his hand on her chest and taps his finger in tandem with her heartbeat. Oh my God, it's so cute. I was like, oh my God. That's so...
Yeah. Their little like heartbeat tapping is like their thing.
It's their thing, yes.
It's so their thing.
Especially when he was like, "This is how quick my heart rate is going."
Yeah,
I love him so much.
I could just hear him say like, "This."
Callie, thank you for delivering KingFisher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. He's like a tortured soul, but like a lover boy, certified lover boy.
He's like a badass poet.
He's a
he's a badass poet.
Badass
with tattoos.
Guys, this is like the first time that he also says her name.
It's like he's accepting that that's his mate, like officially. Like he's like, that's it. Like I fully accept this, you know?
Exactly.
No shame. Not that he had shame, but you know what I mean.
No fear.
Like no fear, exactly.
He's like, you are mine, girl. Forever and ever. Chapter 34, A Secret. Danya says, quote, that seat is reserved for the lady of the house, you stupid girl. etiquette dictates that only Fisher's wife's permitted to sit there. It's a position of high honor meant for a fey female born into one of the old houses, and you're just sprawled out there like you own the damn seat. It's offensive that he even lets a human sit at the same table as him. But this, and she's cut off. So now when I read that, I was like, oh my God, let us find out that Saeris was born into one of the old houses.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
You ain't wrong, sis.
But you just got my blood pressure like spiking because this bitch is so fucking nasty.
First of all, I want to say,
she
Danya,
just had her damn hand blown the fuck off, and she is fucking worried about whether Saeris like. I just find it so.
I think Danya wanted to be with Fisher. I mean,
I think you're right. I think
she's
fucking jealous.
She's jealous.
His behavior is jealousy.
Super.
And Saeris does belong on that seat.
She looks better in that seat than you do.
I want to hear Fisher be like, "That's my mate."
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That would be so satisfying.
And humble her.
Yes.
And first of all, I don't understand how someone could just talk to someone like that out of nowhere. She doesn't even know Saeris, and she just hates her already. Like,
yeah, she's so brazen. She does. She really does.
All right.
But listen, like when Danya was trying to defame her for being a human chosen by Fisher, Ren came through. He came to Saeris' rescue and said, quote, "She's honorable and brave, not to mention the most powerful alchemist ever documented. She disarmed you in half a fucking second if you were called. Who the fuck are you to say she and Fisher don't belong together?" End quote.
Ren is the bestie.
Okay, Ren, he's not evil. He's a good one.
Yeah, he is. He is. After this, I was like, all right.
Ren.
I trust you. But,
Ren is always coming through for Saeris, though. Like, that is his girl. But he's like, I got you.
But more than that, like, Ren wants the best for Fisher. So, like,
yes,
he sees how important Saeris is to Fisher and how much of a key she is to, like, this whole thing. And he's going to do anything to make sure his bestie stays alive and is still good.
Definitely.
Yes. Why didn't Fisher say something first? Like Ren said it. Fisher didn't say, like, don't talk about my woman that way. It was Ren. I'm like, man.
But maybe like Ren beat him to it. Like Ren's like,
Ren's faster.
Like, don't come for my girl.
Yeah. And maybe like Fisher, I think Fisher too, was it like
he's out of it. Listen, she almost freaking died. So it's like,
yeah. And I think Fisher also didn't want to call out what she means to him to everyone yet.
Yeah, because she barely even knows that yet.
Yeah, right. So just wanted to mention, speaking of bromance, again, he almost ratted his boy Fisher. It's like he's trying to get Fisher to like say something already.
Yeah. He wants, and he always says it. He's like, Fisher, be nice to Saeris. Fisher, get to know her. He's always pushing her, pushing them together. You know that meme that's always like, now kiss.
Yeah.
That's Ren.
Our little Cupid. Okay, so about this plant. Isn't it weird that Carrion found this plant randomly out there? He said it was the only green thing he saw amidst all the white. I wonder if it's something, but it could be nothing. And I think it's nothing, but it was a little strange, so it could be something. Could be an important plant that is an answer to something a witch needs for a concoction. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. I think we talked about this earlier, how it's fucking weird. This guy was just in the fucking forge sleeping with a plant, missed the whole fucking battle. Guys, there's
up to something.
Like fucking bombs going off. There's ice being broken. Like, it's not a quiet place. Like, it is fucking, think about a war zone. All the sounds, all those yells. And he's just sleeping with the plant. What's up with this fucking plant?
Maybe he didn't go to the battle because he was out trying to find this plant.
Maybe.
I want to see this plant. I want to know what it is. I want to know now. Maybe it's like just throw us off the trail. As Carrion tries to get more information about her growing relationship with Fisher, which she is skeptical to provide, he reveals to her that the special moss used on him was to eradicate the smell of her on him. And Saeris goes on to say that Fisher has his secrets, which prompts the Quicksilver to agree to be reforged, but only for a secret in return. She is cautious this time, and the Quicksilver confirms that she will still remember it, and it won't tell anyone her secret. So she reveals, I mean, who was it going to tell anyway? I mean, except for sure, I guess. But so she reveals that she does not want to go back to Zilverin and instead wants to bring Hayden and Elroy here to Yvelia. The Quicksilver accepted it and did something Saeris never saw it do before. Quote, it rippled in the crucible and geometric patterns forming and reforming over its surface, end quote. And then told her it was a very good secret and that she should stay to save him. And she thought it meant her brother, but it said, quote, not the brother. By the way, the brother. Remember, Carol, what you mentioned? Mm-hmm. KingFisher, save him, save the gates, save Yvelia, end quote. Okay. So every time the Quicksilver talks, I feel like I'm dissecting every word because not only do we not know what exactly it is, but it's also very vague when it speaks. So 1, the Quicksilver says, quote, not the brother, end quote, which could mean nothing and could mean what Carol pointed out in the earlier chapters, that Hayden is
not her biological brother.
Right.
I mean, for all purposes, they definitely grew up together. Could be obviously brother and sister because of how they grew up. But I don't think they're blood related.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And second, does it mean KingFisher can be saved from the Quicksilver in his body or saved from a prophecy that leads to his death? What do you guys think about that?
I don't know if it could be saved from his body. I see it. This is just my opinion. I see that he has to die, but obviously Saeris is going to find a way to bring him back.
She's going to bite that motherfucker, okay? He's going to be a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That is the only solution.
That
is a solution.
There you go. Ooh. But I don't see it as like cured of Quicksilver.
Queen now. All of a sudden, she's a queen.
I mean, she's always been a queen.
Facts. Third, are there more gates? Because we know about
I think so.
Adjun, yeah, but what about the others?
Oh, I think there's many gates. We just haven't
also
gone there
it's
yet.
Really interesting, like in his POV, how the gates are warded against Fae, but yet it's KingFisher who saves them by closing it. But the fucking gates fuck up KingFisher just by touch. So what were the Fae doing that they had to create gates to protect them from the very Fae who are protecting them?
Was it the Fae that created the gates?
I think so.
What if it was humans?
Or it could be something else.
Well, how could it be humans if they don't have magic?
Maybe they hired some Fae.
Could be the gods. Could be something else we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's very interesting. Yeah,
I don't know.
Because remember, like in his POV in Adjun, he
like
there has to be like some specific kind of like.
Oh wait, it was the sprites. It was like lesser Fae, right? That could
lesser Fae that has to come to close the gate.
Yes,
but they were too far away, so Fisher ended up just fucking like basically sacrificing himself to close the damn gate.
Yeah. Or maybe it was the lesser Fae that created it for the Fae. Like maybe they put in that safe lock, like, oh, we'll make this for you, but like we're gonna put in this safety key that like you can't manipulate it. Because remember, like KingFisher's the only high Fae that treats the lesser Fae in a good way. Like all the other houses, and it's mentioned in Quicksilver. I don't know if it's Quicksilver or his POV that all the other houses treat lesser Fae like shit, basically.
Interesting. We shall see. Big reveal about Quicksilver here. She tries to reassure it that KingFisher is okay, but it says, quote, we are token, key, relic, shield, end quote. Are these all of the things that it can be made into with a purpose? It then asks her to seal them with blood, which she does, and wonders to herself, it's always about blood. So this sentence here that describes the moment Saeris gives her blood was so millennial and Gen Z coded, I just had to mention it. So after Saeris cuts herself and her blood drips, the sentence was, quote, the tiny bead formed a teardrop, wobbling, and then it fell, hitting the ring, wild. My blood didn't roll off the band of the ring. It was absorbed into it, just like the Quicksilver was, end quote. But now that I'm reading it again, I'm thinking like, does she mean like wild, like it's going wild, or like wild and like that's crazy?
Imagine like that's
I
wild.
think both. I think both.
Yeah, because now reading the second time, and I'm like, wait, does she mean like it's just going nuts in the thing? But
Yeah.
that's how I read it the first
No,
time.
I don't think it's going nuts in the thing because she says the blood didn't roll off the ring. It was absorbed. So it's not going nuts. It just
True.
fucking disappeared.
She was probably
True.
writing it and like, damn.
Yeah,
Like, that just happened.
that's wild. I love that. That was so funny. Wild that is. And I wonder if blood has an effect on the type of magic the relic will possess, or if it has any other impact on the Quicksilver in the relic. Once the ring is completed, she picks it up and thinks to herself, it's complete. Key and lock. So could this mean the lock equals a Quicksilver and key equals the blood?
Could be. And that Mad Woman theory
Okay,
from
Bella.
early episode could make a lot more sense.
Okay,
Because all the
Bella.
blood of the horde, the feeders.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. You're right. When Saeris slips on the ring, the forge goes dark and she hears a million different voices chanting Anaroth more, and she immediately takes it off. And it was like she dove straight into a line of communication with them. Maybe it was like all the voices of the Quicksilver, I guess, like all of them in one place. I don't know.
Yeah. That's how they sound in the audiobook. It sounds like
Oh.
a bunch of different voices.
Yeah.
And it could be that she is literally the holder of all the Quicksilver and she can manipulate it easily.
Yeah. It's like she just dropped into a Quicksilver group chat.
Yeah.
Like,
that's how they talk. It's a lot. Yeah.
oh my God.
You got to listen to the audiobook, Bella. It's so good.
I do. I'm going to listen to it. 'cause I
Shout
feel
out
like
to
I'll-
my audiobook girlies.
I need to
And
get
homies.
into it. After Talena tells Carrion that she is happily married and mated, Saeris notices that Talena's hands have tattooed runes on her fingers and asks her about them. Talena explains that she and her husband designed them together, and it's custom for fae couples to tattoo blessings on their hands so they may manifest. They made a rune for harmony, longevity, and 2 children. Saeris is freaking out because those tattoos were tattooed on them. They didn't just appear in the way it did for Saeris when she was making love to Fisher. Talena says it used to be that way when true mating bonds existed.
I know Saeris broke out in a cold sweat. Homegirl
shit
just
herself.
started, her sweat just started coming down.
Yeah.
Literally the pieces were just clicking for her and she's just like, whoa.
And if he was-
I'm fucked
If
up.
he was there tapping her heart, it'd be
Yeah.
tap, 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 tap.
It'd be vibrating.
You know that feeling before you throw up where you're like get like
Oh
all
my
the saliva
God.
in your mouth and you're like get the cold sweats and you're like, oh, it's about to go down.
That-
It's about to
that
go
is
down.
literally
And you
her.
just know like your body's about to go through, but you can't stop it.
No,
It's like
it's gonna
you can't
happen.
stop it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it was just like, she's like, she keeps
And then
getting
you get
hit.
like you get to like some acceptance and you're just like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna ride the wave.
The
Gotta
cold,
ride it.
for her, it's just the beginning. The cold sweat just started.
Exactly. And she also says that, quote, when the gods left Yvelia, certain elements of our magic either died or waned over time. The god swords, for example, they were slowly cut off from the source of the magic they channeled. Our ability to form mating bonds also died out over thousands of years until it disappeared altogether, end quote. Okay. So could Fisher and Saeris be descendants of gods like we have talked about?
Yes.
right?
Yes. But I also think a very interesting line. Sorry to cut you off. It's just coming in my brain.
Go ahead.
As you just read, they were slowly cut off from the source of magic they channeled, right? Our ability to form mating bonds also died out over thousands of years. Could the gods have manipulated that too? Like they killed off I'm going to say killed off for lack of better words, like killed off or like all these potential mating bonds just to make sure Saeris and KingFisher would not get to theirs, in a sense.
Yes.
For
I mean, we
mating
know
bonds
they
to
meddle.
die out, like
They
I
like
get
to
it, but
meddle.
Well, it's only Zareth. He's the only one that was fucking around with like Saeris' future, you know?
yeah, so this could be the consequences of all his actions.
Yes. True.
Anyway,
And Saeris can convince the Quicksilver to imbue magic into swords. And the magic in Nimrel still works for Fisher. So now we learn that this bond they have has not been seen for thousands of years when the gods were amongst them. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's like if Saeris can, like, maybe it's like for example, the aurora that showed up and hasn't been seen over 1,000 years. And now it's like Saeris is, the alchemist, most powerful alchemist, and she can imbue magic, well, by convincing the Quicksilver. But and Fisher with his sword that works for him, and Solace works for Saeris. So I don't know. I feel like they got something special going on. Saeris also asked Talena if any of her tattoos were words spiraling around the wrist, like hers. And Talena says that type of tattoo is only found in storybooks. She adds, quote, "They called it a guide bonding, a blessing from the gods themselves. They weren't real, of course. The most important couples in Yevelian history were said to have had them, but it was all rubbish. Just something the storyteller embellished to make their tales more tragic. Plus, they looked impressive in the illuminated books," end quote. Saeris asks why their stories were tragic, and Talena explains the love stories of these couples always ended with one of them dying.
I forgot that little end sentence there. I truly did.
Yeah.
And I know this is the part where Saeris probably threw up. Back to our cold sweat vomiting discussion.
Yeah.
This is it.
All I can think about is like the song, the Eminem song, "This Cold Spaghetti."
Oh,
like,
yes.
like that's
8 Mile, I think it's called.
yeah, 8 Mile. Like that. Every time you say "throw up," I just can only think about that damn song.
A lot of memories with that song playing in the back.
God.
But you know what, guys? I just realized something. That remember what the Quicksilver said to her? Save KingFisher.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are this power couple, whatever, then he could die.
I think he's definitely going to die, but she'll bring
sure.
him back.
Yeah. They
For
always
sure. They always come back. He better come back.
You better come back. Listen, if he doesn't come back, this will be the most craziest series
It'll be
ever.
Tragic.
But you know what? I find it.
I don't see Callie doing that to us, though. I hope.
I know. I don't think there's ever an author that cruel who can do that to us.
No.
But I kind of want that to happen. I want that. I feel like that'd be such a,
not something we expect.
Not something we expect. Yeah. But it's okay. I do, but we love KingFisher, so don't kill him. Don't kill him. All right.
Anyway, well, this is a great part to end and start off on the next episode. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. It truly means the world to us that you're here. And please message us. Let us know what you think or what you would like for us to include in our next episodes. We would truly appreciate your feedback.
And that's a wrap for now. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We will catch you all next time.
We're just your local trio of best friends enjoying each other's company and talking about what we love the most. Zayden, Zaddy,
And KingFisher.
Ryerson. Yes, and KingFisher, of course. Yes. This podcast is so much fun to make when you have Carolina and Bella doing it with you.
And you.
Remember to follow us on at Enchanted Circle Pod on Insta and TikTok, and follow/subscribe to our podcast channel on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or YouTube. Until the next time on the Enchanted Circle Pod.